Alright, hey, welcome back again to my channel. I'm Rob. This channel is Smirking Gun, and right now we are doing The Punisher, Season 1, Episode 6, The Judas Goat. Again, another pretty solid episode. If you don't count a murder, I believe it's zero action in this episode. But you don't need it. I feel like they're saving the budget on this show for the back half of the season. Not that there hasn't been action. But I can definitely see some people calling this boring. But it's a testament to the character that if you give a crap about Punisher and Micro, and his family, or so Micro's family, there's a lot going on in this show. With like Lewis or Curtis, it doesn't need to, it doesn't need to be action packed. I would love a lot more action, but like I said, it's a TV show still with, it's got a budget. It has Netflix helping, it's got Disney helping, it's got ABC Studios, but I think that's pretty much, they're saving for things when they get really good. I think it's gonna get pretty action heavy in the back half of this. So, full spoilers if you haven't watched this episode yet. Again, the show has been out for a week and a couple of days, so a lot of people have already binge watched this, but I've had lots of things going on, and so I'm now up to episode 6. If you have not seen this, go and watch it and come back. So the Judas Goat. Let me just get the Mondavi stuff, Mondavi, however you say her name, out of the way, because like I've said in other videos, I don't give a crap about the cops. So she's still getting banged by Billy Russo, who sees the Frank Castle file, and you can see where all of this is headed really, easily. She's with him, he used to be in his unit. They just, maybe it started out that way, that she just, needed him for this or that and the other, and they sleep together and it's mutually beneficial. She gets information about Frank and he gets to whatever, but you can just see, the A to B to C, he knows Frank. She's basically telling him that he's alive. She's using him to know that he'll reach out to Frank if he's still alive. Which will put her closer to Frank, but it also puts Billy Russo closer to Frank, who I'm still convinced is a bad guy. So all these things converge to screw with Frank's plan, which we do need. This does need to speed up a little bit. Frank's taking people out does need to speed up a little bit. We have had a lot of exposition and build up. It's time for things to really start happening. So the boring aspect, I do understand if people have seen it like that. Some shit really, really needs to happen. The episode 5 with the guys in the woods and everything, that was great. But we really need to have this amp up a little bit more, a little quicker, because it's just, talking's great, and dialogue's great, and acting's great, but it is the Punisher, So, and what I noticed is, like, a lot of people will say about these Netflix shows is that the first few episodes, like usually 4 or 5 episodes, are really good, and then they slow down, and then they pick up by the end. This has been like, had a really good first episode, and they're all good episodes. They're just, the action has just not really been there on a bigger level than I thought it would be. So I know I'm rambling about this a little bit. But the care that they take in this world is worth still sitting through. So yeah, the Mondavi stuff. Of course she meets up with Billy later. They talk about the evidence, because she's been to Kentucky. She tests the blood. It's Frank's blood. Again, you can see where it's all going. And that's pretty much it. I mean, especially like the way that he is with her, with that Billy is with Mondavi. I like with his like it's all like building towards that. We are trying to sell this guy as Frank's buddy, and he's such a good guy. You know, they're really, really trying to sell it so hard that even if you are just a casual viewer of television, you should see right through this guy. So, that stuff's out of the way. One of the really more interesting aspects of this episode is the Lewis storyline. The guy with the post-traumatic stress who doesn't know how to live in this world, who's now on, at the courthouse passing out pamphlets about people, to support somebody. You have that great scene in the group, where the one bigger guy is OConnor, is talking more about his life in Vietnam, and you can tell he's got an impact on Lewis. And we also see Curtis, who during that whole scene, there's a scene where he's patching up Frank, because Micro had to go find him. He didn't know who else to turn to, and Curtis having to patch up Frank and everything. A lot of what he says, about patching somebody up just to send him out there. Eventually, you're out in this, you're gonna get got. So this whole thing is starting to affect Curtis. But the Lewis storyline is great because when he wasn't at the group, and this guy goes and finds him at the courthouse, and when they're confronted by a police officer, and the police officer is pretty much breaking their civil rights. The big guy, he runs off before anything can happen, and the other guy stands his ground. Lewis stands his ground, and the cop just makes up a reason to get this guy arrested, to arrest him and get him off his case. The interesting thing about this, this is what I was thinking during this whole thing, was like, man, the guy who plays Lewis reminds me a lot of Gary Oldman in JFK as young as Lee Harvey Oswald. I was like, man, even the way he sounds and looks, he reminds me so much of Lee Harvey Oswald in JFK. I was such a dummy. I look up this guy, and he was in that, he played Lee Harvey Oswald in that 11/22/63 thing on Hulu about a guy who goes back in time to try to stop the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So, boom, there's that. No wonder he looks and sounds like Lee Harvey Oswald, because he played him already. And I do like where this guy is going, like that he is maybe a little typecast here, but that he does seem like the guy who's being set up as a character to be kind of a Lee Harvey Oswald type. Not some guy who's going to assassinate the president or anything, or who knows, but definitely somebody who's misunderstood or could be a patsy somehow. So I thought that was really interesting. And I'm really interested to see where that goes. We might as well finish it. I mean, because Curtis tells Lewis, that this guy, OConnor, that he's been looking up to and who ran off at the courthouse, he never even went to Nam, and all this stuff in the stories he tells is all just bullshit. And, he never served, and he was in the army, but he never went anywhere. He was in like the reserves in Texas or something. So when Lewis goes to O'Connor's house, and O'Connor starts going into his stories again, Lewis has just had it. And this is the moment of Lewis snapping, which is crazy. It just happens. And the next thing you know, O'Connor is stabbed, and you think that's bad enough, but then Lewis just goes to town, stabs him to death. And it's brutal. It's pretty brutal. So, like, this is the only scene of, if you consider a murder scene action, and I guess this is your action scene of the week, but it was pretty brutal. And now, like, where does this character go from here? Not anywhere good. And now we've got the other scene that was just kind of like was when Micro's family's having, getting ready for dinner, and, the girl is doing good in school, and the mom wants to know where Lucas, I think his name is, and she calls him inside and confronts him about the stolen skateboard, and when he's confronted with it, he just flat out punches his sister in the face, and I was like, oh. And of course, Micro and Frank are watching by a camera. I know this kid's hurting, but man, who didn't want to just pick that kid up and, like, smack him? He really clocked her good, and it's got to be insane for a mom to have to be alone dealing with this. So that was a scene. That was pretty intense. Well, we get another thing that happens that you can clearly see where it's going is Billy goes to Curtis to try to feel out if he knew that Frank was alive. Curtis lies, goes back to Frank. They have this conversation about, Billy was my friend, like the whole thing again where you're seeing where it's going. Frank, singing the praises of Billy Russo to the point where Frank does reach out. He answers the message that Billy's been sending out, which is just, if you know anything about TV shows or movies, or if you've seen enough things, you know that this is a bad idea. But he goes, and Billy, is all bro time, and sorries and all this stuff, and how he can help Frank, and how he's been doing well, and all this stuff, and he can get him out of the country. And I do like this. There's a line where Frank knows that he already breaks down Billy right away, like, that he's been sleeping with the girl already, like he doesn't change, and the fancy suits and all this stuff. All these things that should be telling him to get the fuck out of there. Whatever. There's a line where he's like, we can't all be as pretty as you, Billy. I think that's foreshadowing. I think that Billy will end up being Jigsaw. If you know the comic book, Jigsaw is kind of like the Punisher's nemesis. I don't remember what incarnation of the comic this might have happened. But in the comics that I remember, Billy, the guy who becomes Jigsaw, was a mafia guy. So this might be their leap. And again, so he tells, Frank that he can help him get out. And in the meantime, Frank goes to Micro's house and consoles her, and basically kind of winking at the camera for Micro, so that kind of to tell her that no matter how bad things are right now, things are going to change for the better pretty soon, which, knowing that there's like 7 episodes left, I kind of doubt that, but it's a nice sentiment. Also, like when Frank told her about, how he's been lonely so long that that's what he likes it, that he lives in it, he hides in it, and I can definitely understand that sentiment. Being, pretty lonely myself at times, it does become comfortable. It does become part of like your second skin, and easy to hide away when you know that you should be out there trying to connect, but it's just more comfortable hiding in that loneliness. And then, of course, I am vindicated. For all of you that already knew this was going to happen because you've seen the other episodes, you see Billy at the docks where he's supposed to meet Frank with a whole bunch of dudes, gets in the car, says he's not going to show up, and there's Rollins sitting there. So yes, Billy is bad. So I wish I had more to say about it, but since I knew this was coming like a freaking mile away, and the characters are all going to be so devastated. So, I mean, if I have a complaint, it's because I can see where, from point A to, I can see from beginning to end where this is going. So I don't like that. I don't like knowing everything. I want some surprises. I want some surprises like Maid Marian showing up in episode 5. Surprises like the kid just all of a sudden clocking his sister. Surprises of when Lewis stabs O'Connor to death. And me finding out that he played Lee Harvey Oswald. But that has nothing to do with the show. I want to be surprised. I want to not see things coming. It doesn't take away from the acting. It does take away a little bit from the writing, the story. The dialogue's still fine, but knowing where everything is going, sort of, not knowing how it's all going to play out, how it's actually going to go down, is nice, but you can tell where it's going now, and that's why I also am very confident that Billy Russo will become Jigsaw. So anyway, that's it. This is probably... This might be my least favorite episode, but there were some really great things about it. Things that kind of elevated back up. Like, I don't know, like, what my least favorite episode is, because they're all good. But of the 5 or 6 now that I've seen, this might be on the lower end of the spectrum, because of everything playing out the way exactly I thought it would. So anyway, yeah, that's it. It's good. I'm interested in where it's going from here. I don't know if I'll get another video out. I might try to knock another one out before the end of the day. If you like this video, please again, man, why can't I say please? Please hit like. Please subscribe to the channel. It always helps. We are almost at 30 subscribers. We have jumped a nice little bit in the last week or so. So appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Speaking of subscribers, I want to congratulate Channel Awesome for hitting 1 million subscribers just today. It has nothing to do with my channel. It's just a nice thing. Go check out their channel. Become a subscriber. Anyway, comments. Let me know what you're thinking of this show. No spoilers after post episode 6. So anything 7 and beyond, please don't post any spoilers. Otherwise, we will see you on our next video, either episode 7. We got Walking Dead tonight. We got, and check out my review for that, because that's when they're going to reveal on Talking Dead who's going to be the crossover character for Fear and The Walking Dead. Mr. Robot on Sundays. More Punisher videos, like I said. We're also doing The Runaways, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in December, and more if I can figure out what to watch for my Waiting for Blu-ray series. And yeah, check out those 2 videos. I got The Hitman's Bodyguard and Good Time with Robert Pattinson. So check those videos out. Again, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and yeah.